Nature is brewing out here today. Listen to that. Today, guys, we're talking about beards and mustaches. This is a super simple guide to both of those things, and we're using just a knife, an 1.5-inch blade, and a V-tool at the end. I show you how to use this if you don't have it. I do talk about how to make this detail with the knife. So that said, let's get into this video. If you'd like to see more about beard carving, naturalistic forms of the human face, portraiture, realistic faces, check out my link below. I have an online school, one of the largest resources, called Fundamentals of Wood Carving. So, all right, let's get into it. Hey guys, it's an absolutely stunning day out, and today we're going to be talking about carving the beard and the mustache. And to do this, it's a great place to, oh man, listen to those birds. That's fantastic. Okay, what I'm going to start with is using the knife here, and by the way, I'm just using an 1.5-inch block of basswood, and this one you can see has got a hairdo. If you want to learn about carving hairdos, I've got a video, I'll link at the end of this video that you can tune into about that. But what I want to do to start here with this 1.5 by 1.5 inch of basswood cut diagonally is define the bottom of the nose. We're not going to get into the nose. I also have a video on the noses if you want to see that, so you can check that out in the link below, or I'm sorry, in the link at the end of this video. I'll try to link both if I can. I'll actually link the whole series in here. Anyway, I'm just creating a V cut, and I'm not going to get into too much detail about that again because, man, there's just so much there to talk about with the nose, and that's done in a different video. So, but what I do want to think about is that the beard and the mustache live right under that space. Okay, so we're gonna start with that, and we're just going to enjoy the fact that that's simple and easy to achieve. So let's get into that easy to achieve thing here. Now, what's fun about the beard and the mustache is they're really kind of defined in two simple kind of shapes, or at least as they're juxtaposed to the cheek. Alright, so I'm going to create two lines. These are V's, right? Now I'm creating these lines, these V shapes, right below the nose. See, here's the nose line, and that V is just coming right beneath. I'm going to say, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch below? No, even more. About 1/4 of an inch. Yeah, about 1/4 of an inch below that brow line, which we drew here. Okay, and by the way, these two sections from the hairline to the eye line, and from the bridge line, brow line, and from the brow line to the nose, these are 1/4 of an inch each in increment. So if we're coming down about another of 1/4 inch in depth at the base of that V, and then mirroring that on the other side, just like so, I'm going to start by creating a line cut. Now we've talked about line cuts in some of the other beginner videos, but, well, in one particular I just posted. But to do that, what we're going to do is come in, like so, and like so. So two lines meeting each other along the line we just drew at opposite angles, meeting that at an opposite angle. Notice how I'm going one side and then along the other. And then I can end it here. And the same thing on the other side. So angling upward with that knife, like so. And then coming down on that same shape, just like so. Can you see that okay? There we go, now there's a little shadow. And I'm actually continuing that line up into the corner of the nose. And I said I wouldn't get into that too much, but it's hard not to at least touch into the nose when we're establishing these shapes, because the method that I use is very connected to the nose shapes as well, which is really handy if you're trying to carve a beard and a mustache and get that done quickly and efficiently. Okay, all right, now I'm going to create a stop cut right at the bottom of the nose. So I'm continuing that nose line, meeting that line we just established, right? That little V groove at the beginning of this V right here. So I'm establishing that stop cut, and then I'm going to remove some material from underneath. So I'm cutting up to that point. Notice the angle that I'm using here. Cutting up to that stop cut. The chip doesn't come free. Back over it we go, all right? Now we've got this kind of lump here, and below it I'm going to establish the mustache. There's a number of ways you can do this. You can represent the mustache as kind of long and extending over. You can represent the mustache as short and sort of trimmed all the way across. I'm going to do, let's see, why don't we do a more simplified mustache, kind of something in between. So I'm going to go with a upside down V. So his beard is fairly long, but it's parted enough, so he's kind of taking care of himself, right? Sorry, I was out of the range of view there. Hopefully you can see that clearly. All right, there we go. Adjust my headset here. Hold on one second. Okay, so I'm going to start by establishing a V groove, a line cut, very similar to the one we just did, coming alongside with two meeting angles along that line. Really emphasizing the meeting point of these two bars of the mustache, like that. See that? I'm cutting up to that line, like so. So with this method, we might even see the bottom of a lip, which we can hint at with another V cut, right? Just like so. Boom, boom, V cut. So we might just catch the bottom of that lip, and we could even insinuate the opening of the mouth by creating a triangle cut or a pyramid cut, which we also talk about in our beginner cut video of 5 basic cuts. Okay. Alright, so now that we've got this undercut and this nice little ledge, I'm going to create a little separation between the left and the right side of the mustache, like so. So just a little V cut separating the left and right side. Oh, I can hear the kids playing out there. We live in a lake community, and you know, you can definitely hear the kids playing outside, and that's fun. That's fun. Okay, so listen to those frogs croaking. It's one of the blessings of living out here, is you can hear nature at all hours of the day. Even at night, sometimes you can hear the geese and the wildlife, bugs and everything. Alright, so I'm just undercutting a little bit and rounding the edges of the mustache. And I do want to start to extend the mustache over and kind of define it by taking the line that we established on this one side of the V and taking that down. So stop and relief cut, just like so, will establish the bar or the length of the mustache, just like that. How about that? Beautiful. Can round that mustache over. Okay, look at that. We're getting pretty far along here. Now let's talk about the outline of the actual beard, right? We started up and we moved our way down, right? Because this mustache might sit a little bit ahead of the beard depending on the length of it. Typically we start with what sticks out first, but the important thing to remember here is the major shapes, the outline of the wood. And so to think about that properly, we need to think about the silhouette. Right now it's very blocky, and I want to take a positive and a negative shape out of the outline of this beard, because I think that'll achieve a better silhouette. I like to do that. It's not necessary, but when you have longer hair, it really makes for a nice flow. All right, so I'm taking a scoop cut out of the side of the beard area here down, about say an inch from the bottom of the piece of wood, and I'm going to start to round this corner off on the opposite side. So this is our quote-unquote positive shape. See how it's rounded, and this is our negative shape. I'm going to take the corners and the flat spots off of this piece of wood. Beautiful. So I'm working my way through, taking off the hard corners and angles as well. If I see a big flat area, I'll just try and cut the angles down on it until it's no longer so flat. We can leave some of the triangular shape here, the high point here. We're just kind of left with some of that. It's the nature of the beast here. Okay. Alright, so next what I want to start to think about are the sort of subgroupings, because what we did by establishing this is we created a major grouping, but we want to create some other kind of major groupings and then of course subgroupings. Alright, so the first thing I want to kind of do is define a groove to separate those groupings out. So I'm just going to create one here at the silhouette of this piece. So I'm just creating a V groove here, just like so, just like that. All right. And I'll create another one. Important thing to remember here is we want to keep them nice and random. We do not want to get too patterned, too perfectly patterned in our creation of these V cuts, one equally spaced from the other, because then it'll just start to look fake. All right. I'm going to make another one. Throw you guys for a loop here and put it all the way over here. How about that? So I'm creating a V groove, a V cut in the profile of his beard down below, because the outline really makes up the design. Our eyes are drawn to the outline of a shape to define it, and so notice how this is not quite the same distance and depth. It doesn't have the same quality as this cut, this V cut versus that one, and that's good. We really want to vary the shapes, and I'll even take this V cut up, carry it up into the beard a little bit more. We're going to give him a wild man's beard, just like that. Okay, and we can add a few more little indentations. Try not to get too carried away here. And what we're really doing here with the smaller ones is we're starting to create the subgroupings of hair. So these are the ones that live within the larger masses. So we've got one mass here, one mass here, one mass here, and then we can start to think about, okay, what are these masses going to do? We can create patterns and shapes within each of these masses. It doesn't have to go exactly the same direction as the mass you might think it would go. So in other words, I can take the subgrouping lines, these V lines that I'm creating, these are actually line cuts but with a curve, right? So kind of a challenge, but basically what we're doing here is we're finding the shape. So I'd like that line to live right here. And then I'll come in with my knife and I'll just cut it in, V, and then meeting at the equal opposite angle, trying to follow that same shape if you can. And look at that, create that line of the beard. And this is really effective, guys, for creating character and flow without having to use a V-tool. Now, if you have a V-tool, by all means, use that V-tool. It's a great, it makes things so much easier. So much easier. Okay. Oh man. Mr. and Mrs. Geese are saying hi again. Listen to those guys. Wow, a whole bunch of them. A whole bunch of them. I'm going to create the defining line between the hair and the beard by just taking a V chunk out of there. Hopefully you can see that. I'm not out of camera range here. There we go. And I'll also create, I like to think about where are these groupings growing from. And in this case, you've got the tuft of hair that grows right underneath the upper lip. Someone's having fun with their airplane up there. Okay, and you can use those positive and negative shapes again. I can create a little bit of a curve inward like that, and then a positive shape on this side to curve it around, right? And I create that nice little turn. But what I mean to say here is, hair tends to grow from certain places on the beard. It tends to be thicker, right below the lower lip, right on the chin. And so you tend to try and think about where might these groupings of hair grow thickest. And if you get confused, you can look at some pictures, sometimes it helps to see dudes with sparser hair, sparser beard hair. So people like myself, you can see where the hair grows thickest. For some folks, it just grows thick all the way through, but it does help to start to think about how the hair is coming from the origin to help you to define those shapes, where those masses live. All right, making another triangle cut in here just to get a little bit more depth atop the mustache, like so. Very cool. All right, look at that. Starting to get some good shapes here. I'm going to use some scooping cuts as well to create some character in this mustache, create a little bit of depth and movement and flow so it's not so flat. And to do that, I'm pulling the tool through, and I've talked about this many times, but I'm just turning the blade as it goes through. Just like so. All right? And we're almost done here, guys. We can get really carried away and create all kinds of beautiful shapes and details. Remember when you're carving beard hair too, not to use straight lines. The big mistake you see people make when they're carving hair is they just create a lot of straight lines one after another, and that makes for really boring stick straight hair. It doesn't look realistic. And don't leave any of those flat spots. See, those flat spots in here right now, they kind of make it look, they just make it look too one-dimensional or too from the block. And so I'll come in and I'll try and remove all of those little left behind marks from the saw. Just like that. Don't be afraid to make those S curves, those flowing lines. All right. Create a few more V grooves down low, and we're almost done. Once again, you can take your V tool to this. You know, the most important thing is you get your shapes down. A lot of the most beautiful sculptures in the world are sculptures that were done by men who didn't use an incredible amount of detail in the hair shapes. They really just understood the form. So if you can figure out how to achieve nice masses, nice forms, you know, you really won't need all of this crazy detail that you see people carving into their characters. I'm going to do a nice little undercut under the mustache, just like so. Meaning I'm going to angle it upward and then take that little chunk out, just like that. Excuse me bumping the camera. Okay, same thing here. And then just soften that lip. Little undercut. There we go. Now it'll take a little bit to clean some of these cuts up and add some more subtle details, and get your V-tool out by all means if you have one, because that's going to really help you to create these shapes without having to go through the work of doing all these little V cuts and all this nonsense that, you know, takes a long time. But, you know, if you don't have one, just enjoy the process. I enjoyed carving with just a knife. The limitations can make the process really fun. So there you go. I like to create upside down V's sometimes here too, like A shapes. I'll come in and take a little chunk out just like that, and that'll create some nice depth and shadow, and I can extend it out. Creates layers. You can do that here and there, towards the end of the beard especially, because hair groupings tend to separate as they move away from their origin, right? So you're going to see that these groupings tend to get wider and wider apart, which is one of the reasons we created these big gaps at the outside edge of the beard, right? And so we can keep doing this. We can add a couple more of these V grooves, upside down V grooves. And there we go. Really, we're trying to achieve depth here as well. And it's, it's a challenge with a straight knife to do that. You can add a few little lines to the mustache itself. All right. A few little grooves here. Break things up. Beautiful. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, hope you learned something from this. There's definitely more to be done on this beard, but I think it gives you an idea for some of the ways in which you can create these flowing shapes and really make much better, more realistic hair and beards. Just have fun with this. Enjoy the process. I could sit here all day and carve this. I'm serious. I could just be here all day carving on this this fun little dude. Create a couple more grooves out here. Like that. Break up some of these long, thin lines. How about that? How fun is that, right? Let me grab the V-tool really quick just so I can show you a couple cuts. I'm having too much fun. Okay, now once you've created these kind of masses with the knife, if you have a V-tool, oh, this is beautiful. You can come in and start to add some finer detail to these masses, and this is where things get crazy cool. So, oh, as I drop my piece of wood. This is just a small handheld. I'm gonna guess it's like a 60-degree V. It's a Flexcut. They make good stuff. But I'm just coming through and I'm adding some grooves to these masses that we've got here. And if you just, I've got the thing turned upside down, so it's a little hard to see, but if you can add some shape and form to these masses and some flow, because the hardest thing to do with that knife is to get that flow, right? You're just gonna have such cool character. Remember to use those curved cuts and those S shapes, because those S shapes are really satisfying to look at. Okay, when you're using that V-tool, you can really start to think about those S shapes and those curves. It's gonna make for really nice hair. You see how that's starting to create the forms of the hair? It's getting a lot more hair-like by the second. You could do this with a knife, you absolutely could, and I've done it many times, but it's really nice just to have the V-tool. One quick thing before I go to, try to break up the straight, whoa, I'm butterfingers today. Try to, if you can, disturb the straightness of this V line. Remember this early line that we made here? If you can do it, try to make sure that that line is not perfectly straight by coming in with that V-tool, breaking it up a little bit. It's kind of a sign of a beginner's facial hair, okay? All right, just like that. A few more lines. Easy to get carried away. Easy to get carried away with this. But it's fun. You can add detail and just enjoy the process of it. And come in at the edges here. Look at that. See how much depth and character that's getting? Isn't that fun? And you can really get carried away with this. all because we've set these forms up properly. Now we can really start to have fun with detailing. All right. Now, if you want to listen or hear me and see me demonstrate about hair, there's a lot of crossover, and I go into a little bit more detail about some of the techniques that I use in my carving hair video. So you can check that one out as well. That can give you some good tips. But otherwise, guys, that's a wrap. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you picked something up. I hope you can make a fun scraggly beard. And, you know, just take bits from this that you enjoy and throw out the rest. You really, the joy of this is for you to create your own things and to get this, to get you thinking and start being creative and create your own awesome designs. Love to see what you guys create. Always. Take your vitamins. Whoa, Butterfingers again. Third time's a charm. All right. Enjoy this, guys, and we'll see you in the next one. All right. Man, I could just do this all day. Say bye to the frogs. Take your vitamins.